Okay, game 2. This is PSI, Pact, Spanish Inquisition. You saw me last game do a whole bunch of showboating and burn through a good chunk of my deck just trying to show off and whatnot. So I had to pile shuffle this a few times, and it's important, especially if you start doing this in a tournament setting. Other people are going to be kind of pissed off and everything. You can't let that get to you. Pile shuffle this thing as much as you want, because ultimately you're going to win or lose probably within 5 minutes, and then you're going to pile shuffle for a few minutes, and then you're going to go and do it again while the other person is still reeling from the fact that they've been bent over the table and screwed so hard. So yeah, try not to let your opponent get to you. Take your time and bring a book, because apparently at big tournaments you have a lot of time in between. Start scouting out, start seeing the hate. Okay, so the first no-no to look for, well, one, our initial mana source has summoning sickness, so oopsie daisy. So we're definitely not turn one-ing this guy. We have another land grants, which means that we could play this guy the next turn, throw that out, and then try and go off there. I really don't like those odds. But the real thing that's going to really twist your noodle, because there's like no insta-win, oh my god, that I'm going to make this thing my bitch, in this, is the fact that you have 2 win conditions in your hand, which basically means this is a mulligan anyway, because your 6-land hand isn't really going to do much better than this anyway. So you may as well try and go for the nuts by mulliganing. So let's try a new 7. That was a mulligan hand. So the next part, we have no initial mana source that's going to be permanent. We've got potential for 2 green, because you can Summoner's Pact for this guy. If we had some sort of dark ritual, this one might be workable, like if that was a dark ritual. Remember I said I had a love-hate relationship with Calling the Weak? Ooh, shit. Didn't realize. Okay, well, looks like we are going to be redoing this a little bit. Sorry, I didn't realize that I was putting my hand up there that much harder. All right. New system again. Okay. So, we've got Elvish Spirit Guide, Summoner's Pact, Calling the Weak, 2 Infernal Tutors, Cruel Bargain, and a Charbelcher. We have no way of getting the lands out of the deck, so we can't just like try and turn and burn on that one. Sure, we can do Dryad Arbor, Dryad Arbor for that guy, but we don't really have shit else to work with on here. Sure, we could go Summoner's Pact into Wild Cantor, play Wild Cantor with that, and then turn that into blue. Like if that's Dark Ritual, I'd almost be tempted, because then you just go immediately Cruel Bargaining. You have some gas in your hand. All you need is like a whole bunch of mana. Might work, might not. We don't know. So, yet another mulligan hand. And don't be afraid to mulligan with this deck, because it takes as little as an initial mana source that can produce black, a dark ritual, and a cruel bargain. And you can start doing draw 4 chains off of just that. It's flying by the seat of your pants, and you have just as much likelihood of killing yourself as your opponent. But this deck can do it. As you can tell, I'm still working out the kinks with how to properly present all this. So for that, I apologize. I'll get better. Okay, Dryad Arbor again. Now, the difference between these the reason why I would keep this hand versus the other is because I have 2 Lion's Eye Diamond and Infernal Tutor. So that means, like, this hand is not a hand where I try and go off immediately, because we don't have the critical mass. If I had another mana in any way, shape, or form, like if this was my Bayou, I'd play it in a heartbeat, remove that guy, put that down, Bayou, play both those guys, Infernal Tutor, and then I'd go from there. Tell you the truth, I don't know exactly where I'd go from there, but I'd try it. Or go the other route. Oop. That. No, couldn't do that. Anyway, so this one to me is a perfect turn 2 hand because it's just looking for something. Anything else to have happen after you lay that initial thing. Granted, this is also a format where Wasteland is a huge problem, so this isn't exactly the most kosher thing, but draw, there we go. Perfect. All right. So at this point, we've got to try and decide, do we want to go Infernal Tutor, search for any one thing, or do we want to play Infernal Contract and go for anything, or go for up to 4 anythings? Well, if I didn't have this in hand, I'd probably be cracking both those in order to get Slither Muse and still have 2 mana left over. Some people play Elvish Spirit Guide in their lists. Not my cup of tea, but it's a technique. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove Infernal Tutor from the game. Use that for the 1 storm, and that gets me 3 black mana. Gonna play both Lion's Eye Diamonds, 2 more storm. Then I'm going to pay the 3 mana, crack both the Lion's Eye Diamonds, and that forces me to discard Slither Muse. That's 1 more storm. And I think the correct thing to do here is 3 red, 3 black. We can still use that for a green, and for that case, I'll just tap it for mana now because it's not like I'm attacking with it. And I can just as easily sacrifice it tapped as I can untapped. So, and there's no line of play to where that would have really affected me. So, I'm at 10 life. Now my 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. This is good. So, you play your land for turn. Whoop whoop. So, now we know that we have no more lands in deck. We're going to just cycle Land Grant. They can know that we ain't got shit. That'll just give us free storm. We're going to play Dark Ritual. Another there. 2 more black mana. Then we're going to use the green because we really don't need green. It's almost colorless to us at that point. And a black mana for Infernal Tutor. That's another. Now, this is one of those times where we can do pretty well whatever we want because we have enough mana in here to do Iggy or Past in Flames to do Past in Flames, Past in Flames, Past in Flames for that, and since we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that would be 8, 9, 10. And then Tendrils of Agony. It'd be Tendrils of Agony for 24, based solely off Past in Flames. Iggy Loop, you're going to at least get 4 more 4 more Storm, and you just do Lion's Eye, Infernal Tutor. You can slice and dice any way you want. Like I said before, my personal predilection is to just go for Goblin Charbelcher and activate, which would use up all my spare mana. Because really, if they somehow stifle that and really mess us up that way, sure, we've lost all this delightful, delightful Storm count that we've lost, that we've been tracking for no reason. But look at what I do have. I have 1, 2, and 3 perpetual resources. They've got to kill that or be dead, in addition to stifling that. If they somehow kill the Dryad Arbor, which is more than likely. Okay, so that's 1 turn of life they bought up. That's 2 turns because you would tap that, put that out. Then the next turn, you would be able to do it again. Or you just use the Lion's Eye Diamond that you just drew. That's how post-board games play with this deck, because you're swinging around hammers, just hoping that the blue mage will eventually fold to it. So that was game 2. We had 2 mulligans that were completely unacceptable. And that would have started on turn 2, which is normal for this deck to do. It has the highest turn 1 kill ratio of any deck in Magic. But really, this doesn't always kill turn 1. It's usually much safer to do it on turn 2. Anyway, talk to you later, YouTube.